Okay, just to be respectful of everyone's time, we will get started. There will be a recording sent to everyone who had registered, so if you're joining in late, you can follow along and pick up where we left off. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today for our exciting webinar on sleep. For those of you who have not joined one of our webinars before, my name is Chanelle, and I am one of the holistic nutrition consultants here at VitaminLab. This topic is so interesting to me. For years, I worked as an international flight attendant with a really unpredictable schedule. So having to sleep at night, sleep during the day, sleep in different places. So I learned some really healthy habits when it comes to sleep and promoting a restful sleep that I'm excited to share with you all today. So just in general, in today's fast-paced world, achieving a restful sleep can sometimes feel like an elusive goal. Poor sleep quality not only affects our mood and our productivity, I'm sure we've all been there, but it also has profound effects on our health and well-being. Fortunately, there is emerging research that suggests certain supplements can play a significant role in supporting healthy sleep patterns. So in today's webinar, we'll delve into the science behind these supplements and how they can help you achieve that restorative sleep that you deserve. If there are any questions that come up throughout the presentation, feel free to pop them in the question and answer box, and I will do my best to answer those as we go. There should also be an emoji button, so if you've learned something new or something's interesting to you, feel free to give me a smiley face or a thumbs up and let me know. Again, a copy of the webinar will be sent after today's presentation, and this webinar, along with all of the other VitaminLab webinars, are on our YouTube page. So just as a reminder before we begin, the statements made in today's presentation and the respective products are not intended to diagnose, treat, heal, or cure any disease or condition. So an agenda kind of what we're going to cover today. So today we're going to start by reviewing the importance of sleep. So both its physiological and psychological benefits. Then we'll better understand the science of sleep. So what's going on during this time and some factors that can influence the quality of our sleep. Next, we'll explore some key supplements for sleep and the studies that support this. And then finally, we'll review some practical tips that we can all implement for better sleep hygiene. So while there are still a lot of questions out there about why we sleep and why it's so crucial to our livelihood, we do know that there are many physiological and psychological things that can happen during sleep or with a lack of sleep. We're going to dive into a few of those now. So some of our physiological benefits of sleep or the effects from lack of sleep, we're going to start with restoration and repair. So during sleep, cellular repair mechanisms are activated, allowing our tissues and organs to recover from daily use. So sleep helps with the repair of muscles, tissues, and other bodily structures and helps to remove the waste from cells. Sleep disruptions can slow down the healing process, making it a lot harder for the body to recover from injury or illnesses, which also leads me into my next point of its effects on immune function. So when it comes to immune function, sleep is crucial. During sleep, our body produces cytokines, which are the proteins that help to regulate the immune response and defend against illnesses and injuries. So chronic sleep deprivation has actually been linked to weakened immune response and increased susceptibility to infection. Sleep disruptions can also reduce the function and activity of our natural killer cells. So these are a type of white blood cell that plays a role in the body's defense against viruses and tumors. Now, chronic sleep deprivation or sleep disruption is associated with increased levels of inflammatory markers. So that would be our C-reactive protein and our interleukin-6. So persistent inflammation we know can lead to or contribute to the development of a lot of other diseases like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders. Again, there are many factors of the immune system that are impacted by sleep, but these are just a few to highlight a few. A big one is our hormone balancing. So hormones are definitely affected by sleep or lack of sleep. So it can throw off the balance of our hormones by either increasing or decreasing its production or impacting their pathways, which will lead to those imbalances that affect all the systems of the body. So a big one, cortisol. I know this gets a really bad rap, but it has a really big, strong importance in the body. So for example, this hormone follows a diurnal pattern. So what that means is its levels peak in the morning, helping us to wake up, and then decline slowly throughout the day. So sleep disruptions can actually throw off this pattern, leading to elevated cortisol levels at inappropriate times, which can increase our stress, anxiety, and then impact other normal bodily functions. Another big hormone is our growth hormone. So this is primarily released during our deep sleep. That sleep disruption can reduce the amount of deep sleep and therefore the body's ability to produce this hormone. This can impact growth processes and our muscle development. Two other hormones that regulate our appetite and energy balance. This is the big one. So leptin and ghrelin. So leptin is what suppresses our appetite, while ghrelin is what stimulates it. So sleep deprivation can cause can decrease leptin levels and increase ghrelin levels, leading to increased hunger and appetite. Often when we're hungry, we're reaching for those foods that are going to give us that quick burst of energy. So some sugary foods or simple carbohydrates. This habit over time can lead to that weight gain or obesity. Again, this list isn't comprehensive. There is a lot of other hormones that are impacted by sleep, like our estrogen, testosterone, thyroid hormone, and insulin. So yeah, just a few there that are impacted. And then sleep is so important for our brain function. Our brain is always on, whether it's controlling voluntary or involuntary processes. And sleep is the time when the brain can really rest. So it's really important for our cognitive performance, our executive function, creativity, and even the risk of neurological disorders. So we're going to take a little look at what may happen with a disrupted sleep. So sleep, especially our REM sleep, is crucial for the consolidation of memory. Sleep disruption or a poor sleep quality can impact us forming new memories, the recall, attention, concentration, and decision-making. Reaction time is a big one. So sleep deprivation will slow our reaction time in information processing, which can be really dangerous in those situations where that is really required. So something like driving. Also, our brain volume and integrity is impacted with lack of sleep. So chronic sleep deprivation is associated with reduced brain volume in certain areas, especially our frontal lobe, which is really important for cognitive function and that decision making. Persistent sleep disruptions can actually increase the risk of long-term cognitive decline. So this is over a long period of time with lack of sleep or impaired sleep. And this can lead to that cognitive decline or neurodegenerative disorders like dementia. So we can see here how important sleep is for our brain health. And just a couple of our psychological benefits or impacts of sleep. So mood regulation is a big one. I know a lot of people can be more prone to irritability, mood swings, or mood disorders like anxiety and depression with lack of sleep. That can also make it a little bit harder to fall asleep too. So it's kind of this loop. Stress reduction is a big one. So a poor sleep affects the brain's ability to manage stress, leading to heightened stress sensitivity and a greater likelihood to experience those stress-related symptoms. So sleep is really important for keeping that stress under control. And then our emotional regulation. So anxiety and depression is a big one. Again, chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to the development and the exacerbation of mood disorders. And it's really important as well for our creativity. So that thinking and innovation, disrupted sleep can really dull those creative insights and reduce the ability to generate new ideas. So yeah, you can see how sleep quality and sleep quantity are really, really important factors here. So now that we know some of the factors that are influenced by sleep or kind of how our body is impacted by sleep, let's go over the science of sleep, kind of what's going on in our bodies while we're sleeping and what can affect our sleep quality. So sleep is composed of cycles. Each cycle contains 4 steps, and we repeat the cycle about 4 to 5 times per night. So we're going to start with sleep stage 1, and we call this a non-REM sleep cycle. This is the transition period between wakefulness and sleep. If you were to tap somebody and wake them up, let's say your partner's snoring, they're likely to tell you that they weren't even sleeping during this stage. What's happening is your brain activity, your heartbeat, your eye movements and breathing are all slowing down. Your body's relaxing and your muscles may twitch here. The brain is still relatively active, and it only lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes in this stage. So our second sleep stage, this is another non-REM sleep stage. This lasts for about 20 minutes per cycle, and people spend about half of their total sleep time here. The sleep stages are not linear, so it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. It typically goes from stage 1, 2, 3, back to stage 2, and then to stage 4. So you do spend quite a bit of time in stage 2. In this stage, you become less aware of your surroundings, your eye movement stops, your body temperature drops, your breathing and heart rate become a bit more regular, and your brain actually begins to produce bursts of rapid rhythmic brain waves called sleep spindles. This is thought to be a feature of memory consolidation. So a lot of memory consolidation is done in stage 2. And then in our third stage, so again, another non-REM sleep stage, slow brain waves called delta waves begin to emerge. So this is where any environmental noises or activities may fail to wake the sleeping person. If you've ever slept through an alarm, this is likely the stage you were in when that alarm went off. In our stage 3 sleep, your muscles are completely relaxed, your blood pressure drops, that breathing slows, and you progress into your deepest sleep. So this is actually where the physical repair happens. So without enough non-REM stage 3 sleep, you may wake up feeling quite groggy and unrested. And then finally, we have our REM sleep, our stage 4. So while your brain is highly active with mental activities in this stage, this is your dream state, your voluntary muscles are completely immobilized. So your brain activity most closely resembles the activity it does during waking hours. This occurs about 90 minutes after falling asleep. Your eyes are moving a lot more rapidly in this stage, and this is why it's called REM sleep, or our rapid eye movement stage. So like I said, this is where your dreaming happens. And like stage 2, memory consolidation here occurs here. This is a really, really deep sleep. It's also thought that emotions and emotion regulation and emotional memories are processed and stored here. Your cells also repair and rebuild during this stage, and your body uses this deep sleep to strengthen your immune system so you can fight off illness and infection. So it's interesting to see how each stage of sleep has its own importance when it comes to the physiological and psychological benefits of sleep. So there are a lot of factors that influence our sleep. Not everyone sleeps the same way or has the same ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. So there are some factors that come into play here. So age is a big one. Just as we get older, our sleep naturally becomes lighter and you're more easily awoken. Sleep disorders like restless leg or sleep apnea can definitely play a role. Pain or mood disorders, so whether that's acute pain like an injury or chronic pain like something like fibromyalgia. And then there's also lifestyle habits. So I'll go into this a little bit later about some changes that we can make to better our sleep, but these are some things that we know can interfere with our sleep. So caffeine is a big one. This is a stimulant, can interfere with the ability to fall asleep and then reduce our sleep quality. It can stay in the system for several hours, and everyone metabolizes this at a very different rate. It's not just in tea and coffee, so just be mindful of sodas or chocolates or even chewing gum late in the evening. Sugar or foods with a high glycemic index. This can cause the blood sugar levels to spike and then crash, which may lead to that awakening through the night. Alcohol, though a lot of people say this can help them fall asleep easier initially, it can actually disrupt the sleep cycle later in the night, leading to a poor sleep quality. And then our poor sleep environment, which I'll cover again a little bit later. But the big one here is the exposure to screens. We have screens everywhere, our tablets, our phones, our TVs. The blue lights that are emitted by these devices can actually impact our melatonin production. And this is the hormone that regulates our sleep. So again, we'll cover a little bit more of the lifestyle habits a little bit later. But first, we want to dive into some of these supplements that can help support our sleep. There's a lot of research out there now showing some supplements can be really beneficial in promoting sleep. Again, something to note when it comes to supplementation, it's really important to note that every individual is very different. There's a lot of factors that come into play on what supplement is right for you. So it's always a good idea to speak with your practitioner or someone on our nutrition team here at VitaminLab to determine what supplement is right for you. So we're going to start our first one today with melatonin. So I'm sure this is a supplement many of you are familiar with or have even experimented with if you've had trouble sleeping. So our bodies actually naturally produce melatonin, and it's referred to as the hormone of darkness. Its production is stimulated by darkness and then inhibited by light. So as evening approaches, the pineal gland in the brain releases melatonin into the bloodstream, signaling the body that it's time to prepare for sleep. So it's not a coincidence that we want to go to bed a little bit earlier in the winter, and then we're able to stay awake a bit later in the summer months. Those external changes play a big role in our internal biochemistry as well. So melatonin, how it works is it peaks during the night, and then it will decline towards morning, helping us to wake up and helping to synchronize the body's internal clock with the day and night cycle. Now, melatonin supplementation is commonly used to regulate sleep patterns, promote sleep onset, and those with insomnia, jet lag, shift workers, and may help reduce the time it takes to fall asleep and increase total sleep time. So a 2013 meta-analysis looking at over 1,600 participants found that melatonin supplementation significantly reduced the time it took to fall asleep and increased total sleep time. Including those, with insomnia. So that's a big one. Insomnia is a whole separate issue. So showing that it has an impact on those with insomnia too is quite great. Now in dosing with melatonin, it's also important to start with a lower dose and build it up if necessary. Your body does build a tolerance to the supplement, and then long-term supplementation can impact the body's ability to produce it naturally. So effective doses range from 0.5 milligrams to about 3 milligrams. And then timing is very crucial. So we want to take this about 30 to 60 minutes before bed to mimic that body's natural rise in melatonin. Another big one here is magnesium. So magnesium has a ton of different benefits, but sleep is a big one. So it acts as a natural relaxant by helping to regulate the activity of neurotransmitters and hormones that are involved in the stress response. So like our cortisol and our adrenaline. And it helps to counter the effects of stress and promote a calmness to improve sleep quality. Magnesium also facilitates the function of GABA. So GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that helps to calm the central nervous system and promote sleep. So by enhancing GABA, magnesium can promote those feelings of relaxation, reduce anxiety, and then promote that sleep onset, so that time it takes to fall asleep. And it also plays an important role in the synthesis and release of melatonin. So adequate magnesium levels are necessary for the pineal gland to produce melatonin and respond to that darkness. So some individuals may have trouble falling asleep, not because their mind won't shut off, but because their body won't. So low magnesium may be a cause of muscle spasms, cramps, and tension. So supplementing with magnesium to bring those levels back up can play an important role in that muscle function and relaxation. A 2012 double-blind study found that magnesium supplementation improved sleep efficiency, sleep time, and sleep onset compared to a placebo. So a lot of great benefits there for magnesium. Now in dosing with magnesium, we were looking at a dose of about 200 to 350 milligrams. The form that's most optimal for sleep is our magnesium glycinate. So this is a highly bioavailable form of magnesium that's bound to the amino acid glycine, which itself has calming properties that can help support relaxation. Next, we'll move on to our L-theanine. So this is an extract that's taken from the leaves of green tea and mushrooms, and it has some great research on its benefits for rest. So it can help reduce the cortisol levels in the body that are brought on by stress. And like magnesium, it can help increase those GABA levels in the brain. By reducing stress and anxiety, L-theanine may help to enhance sleep quality, sleep duration, and lessen the time it takes to fall asleep. So studies have shown that L-theanine supplementation can significantly reduce subjective feelings of stress and anxiety and decrease that heart rate variability. So it has calming effects on the central nervous system, which helps people fall asleep faster and experience deeper, more restorative sleep. So L-theanine promotes relaxation, not just for sleep, but also for wakeful relaxation. It increases alpha brainwave activity, which is associated with a wakeful relaxation and mental alertness, which helps to calm the mind without causing drowsiness. So it's also a good daytime supplement to just calm that central nervous system. For L-theanine and dosing, this really depends on the individual. People tolerate this supplement quite differently. So depending on your sensitivity, your age, your sleep disorders, a dose between 100 to 200 milligrams about 30 minutes before bed is recommended in a sleep support supplement. And the next we have our valerian root. So this is a herb that's been used for centuries as a natural remedy for insomnia and other sleep disturbances. Certain compounds in valerian root, like valerianic acid, have been shown to interact with neurotransmitter receptors in the brain, like GABA, which help promote relaxation, reduce neuronal excitability. So for those of you with a really active mind, and helps to induce sleep. Valerian root also has anxiolytic or anti-anxiety properties that can help reduce those feelings of stress and tension that can interfere with sleep. It helps to calm the central nervous system, helps individuals unwind and prepare for sleep. It has mild sedative effects, and it can improve sleep efficiency, reduce nighttime awakenings, and then the overall sleep duration. A 2006 meta-analysis looked at over 1,000 participants, and they found that this was true, that it improved sleep quality and the reduced sleep latency, so the time it took to fall asleep, compared with a placebo. So some great effects there. Like a lot of other herbs, dosing is really dependent on the individual. So age, sensitivity, your sleep condition, all of this will play a role in what dose is right for you. With a lot of other herbs, it's best to start on the lower end of the scale and then slowly build up if necessary. But a dosing range between 300 and 900 has been seen to be beneficial. And then finally, our last supplement for today is GABA. I know I mentioned GABA a few times already, but what exactly is this? So GABA is a neurotransmitter, and it plays a crucial role in that promoting that relaxation, reducing that neuronal excitability. So again, that activity in the brain. It also has those anti-anxiety effects to reduce stress and tension, making people feel more relaxed and facilitating that transition to sleep. So really helping with that stage 1 sleep. So GABA supplementation can successfully increase those GABA levels in the brain, helping people achieve that deeper sleep and then waking up feeling more refreshed. Same thing with a lot of the other supplements. The age, sensitivity, sleep disorders are all going to play a role in what dose is right for you. Again, a range starting on the lower end first and then slowly build up if necessary, but a dose of 100 to 500 milligrams about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. GABA can interact with some certain medications, so it's always best to check this one before introducing this supplement. So just check with your practitioner if it's right for you. So again, when it comes to supplements for sleep, it's probably best not to include these in your daytime VitaminLab formula, or your daytime supplement regime, but rather create a whole separate formula or a new formula just focusing on sleep if that's one of your main goals. Now, if you see some of these ingredients in your daytime formula, like your magnesium or L-theanine, don't worry. There's a lot of other benefits that they have more than just sleep. So helping with those muscle cramps, helping to calm the nervous system, helping with anxiety, a lot of other things. And they are not a drowsy supplement. So taking them during the day is not going to make you fall asleep, but it has a lot of other benefits as well. Typically, we see a blend of these kind of mixed together in a nighttime formula. And again, you want to take this about 30 to 60 minutes before going to sleep for the best effects. Again, some of these can interact with medication, so it's always best to consult with your doctor, or you can consult with our nutrition team at VitaminLab. We're happy to help review all of that with you. After the presentation, you'll be redirected to our booking link. So if you want to chat a little bit more about any of these ingredients, your formula, or building a new formula, we're happy to help you there. And finally, before we finish today, we're going to go over a couple of the practical tips for enhancing our sleep hygiene. So along with supplementation, here are some natural strategies that we can use to implement to support better sleep. So a big one here is consistency. So getting that nighttime routine. We want to go to bed at the same time each night and then wake up at the same time each morning. It really helps regulate our circadian rhythm as well as that melatonin production. We also want to remove electronics from our bedroom and stop that usage about an hour before bed. Again, that blue light emission. If you do use electronics, try to use blue light glasses. So the blue lights that are emitted from screens can impact our melatonin production, which will reduce the amount of time that we're spending in REM sleep, which we know is needed for that cognitive function, immune function, all of that. So really important there. And then we want to avoid those triggers like alcohol, caffeine, and those large meals before bed. We may want to include foods, though, that are high in tryptophan. So tryptophan is an amino acid that's actually the precursor to melatonin. So foods like poultry, eggs, cheese, fish, or pumpkin seeds, these make good dinner time foods or an evening snack. This will help with the melatonin production, but also keep us full during that period of rest. We also want to ensure that we have a good sleep environment. So ensure that your room is dark, quiet, and cool. So your body temperature drops when you're tired and elevates in the morning to wake you up. So it's a good idea to mimic that in your external environment as well. Use your eye shades, your earplugs, your blackout curtains, whatever you need, and then turn that thermostat down to have a good restful sleep. You want to keep all the distractions out of your room as well. So TVs, books, work, everything. And then just keep that space so it's associated with rest and relaxation. And then finally, there is a rule to follow to make it a little bit easier to remember. It's the 10-3-2-1-0 rule. And that is 10 hours before bed, stop consuming any caffeine. So that's tea, coffee, sports drinks, chocolate, chewing gum. Again, everyone metabolizes this a bit differently, but it does stay in your system for about 10 hours. 3 hours before bed, we want to avoid food and alcohol. So the muscles that digest and metabolize our food will keep working instead of resting, which can impact our sleep. So that 3 hours, like the cutoff. And the effects of digestion on sleep actually have more of an impact on women than men. So ladies, if you're having trouble sleeping, this may be something that you want to look at. And then putting our work aside at least 2 hours before bed. So that buffer time between our work and sleep allows for our stress and adrenaline to diffuse and for the brain to disengage before resting. And then 1 hour before bed, again, a big one, turn off the screens. So instead, maybe flip through a few pages of a book or meditate, stretch, listen to some calming music, but just try to turn off those screens. And then finally, do not hit snooze in the morning. The sleep that we get before waking is usually our REM sleep. So hitting snooze will disrupt this cycle. If you find that you're constantly being woken up by your alarm, it's a good idea to maybe set that a few minutes later or try to go to bed a few minutes earlier just to get yourself in a new cycle. So there's a lot of tips there, whether it's supplementation or lifestyle tips that can help us hopefully have a better night's sleep. Now, I'd like to know if you guys have any questions, any thoughts. I always love to hear from you. So you can pop it in the question and answer box if anything's come up. I know we're over time, so if you can't stay, no problem. I do just have one question here that I'd like to answer. So what supplements should I not take before bed? Great question. So there are some supplements out there that can impact or interfere with our sleep quality. A big one being like our B vitamins. So a lot of these are energy promoting vitamins and can interfere with that sleep. So we want to take those earlier in the day, just so they can be utilized and absorbed and then not impact our sleep. Awesome. Okay, well, I know we're over time, and thank you so much for those extra minutes today. If anything comes up and you have any questions, feel free to send us an email. Like I said, after the presentation, you'll be redirected to our booking link for a nutrition consultant. So feel free to book a complimentary call, and we can discuss your formula or these ingredients in more detail. Thanks again for joining. Have a great day.